Hello everyone, and welcome to the weird, scary and horrible parts of humanity. Today we are going to explore the least known overseas execution of an Australian citizen, that of drug smuggler Michael McCauliffe. During the Barlow and Chambers execution in 1986, Kevin Barlow's family made a deal with Channel 7 and saw their travel expenses paid for. Additionally, Brian Chambers' family made a deal with another of Australia's biggest commercial channels and the major competitor to Channel 7, Channel 9, with their travel expenses paid for. Additionally, Channel 10 and the ABC also had correspondence in Kuala Lumpur for the execution. By the way, we explore the Barlow and Chambers case in a previous video, so please go ahead and check that one out if you are interested. There was also a media frenzy surrounding the 2005 execution of Van Tuong Nguyen in Singapore, with the drama Better Man, produced by SBS in 2013, telling the story of Van Tuong Nguyen. The 2015 executions of Bali 9 members Andrew Chan and Myuran Sukumaran saw interviews take place at various times throughout their time in prison, conducted by News Limited, ABC, SBS, Channel 9 and Channel 7. The executions of Sukumaran and Chan prompted an unprecedented diplomatic storm, with the Australian ambassador to Indonesia recalled, and the execution was covered by all Australian media outlets as well as the international media. The movie Guilty, broadcast on the ABC, told the story of Sukumaran and his execution. Equally, it is not just when Australians are executed abroad that there is a large level of media interest. When former model Michelle Leslie was arrested for drug possession in Bali in 2005, there was a huge hubbub of media interest, with interviews conducted by Channel 7 News and 60 Minutes on Channel 9. Additionally, during the imprisonment of Schapelle Corby for drug trafficking, who spent 9 years in a Balinese jail, there was an unprecedented media circus with her family, and Corby interviewed on all 3 of Australia's commercial television networks and radio stations, as well as having her own autobiography released. She also became a reality star as a contestant on Channel 7's SAS Australia. The TV movie Schapelle was broadcast on Channel 9, telling the story of her arrest. Equally, her arrest and eventual release made international headlines. Within all of this hubbub and media frenzy, Michael Dennis McCauliffe is the anomaly to this media frenzy, having been interviewed only once by newspaper owner Fairfax in 1990 throughout his imprisonment. Indeed, when the state broadcaster, the ABC, reported on McCauliffe's execution in 1993, they didn't send a reporter to Malaysia, and much of the report featured archive footage from the Barlow and Chambers execution, which was covered by ABC reporter Paul Lockyer in 1986 and was nominated for a Gold Walkley Award. Allegedly, McCauliffe's family asked the Australian government and the Malaysian authorities to not publicise his case, which may have led to a lack of media interest. McCauliffe was born in Queensland, Australia in 1959. A former Army Reserve soldier, McCauliffe lived in Manly, Sydney, New South Wales and worked as a bartender. In the mid-1980s, McCauliffe went on what could be seen as a YOLO trip to Asia and travelled around the region. However, McCauliffe by all extents had the marks of a criminal, with multiple passports with different names. On the 29th of January 1985, McCauliffe was arrested at Bayan Lepas Airport in Penang, Malaysia, with 14 condoms of white powder in his money belt detected during a body search. This turned out to contain 141.89 grams of heroin. McCauliffe was imprisoned at Penang Prison. He was briefly imprisoned with Kevin Barlow, who he described as completely losing it, and hoped that he would never go that way. He was represented by lawyer and maverick independent politician Karpal SIngh. He was convicted by the Malaysian High Court in Penang on the 17th of August 1991. Under the Dangerous Drugs Act 1983, anyone in possession of more than 15 grams of heroin is considered to be trafficking and will receive a mandatory death sentence in Malaysia. An appeal was lodged to the Malaysian Supreme Court. McCauliffe alleged that he was carrying bang bang powder provided as an aphrodisiac by a Thai dance hostess. The appeal was rejected on the 13th of May 1992, and McCauliffe was taken to Kajang prison in Kajang in the state of Selangor. Kajang is located 20 kilometers from downtown Kuala Lumpur. The Malaysian press showed little sympathy for his plight, with the newspaper, the New Straits Times, running the headline, "Will Australians Ever Learn?" Perhaps most significantly for McCauliffe, Australia had a new Prime Minister by 1991, Paul Keating, and the nation's interest towards its neighbour had significantly changed from the Barlow and Chambers execution in 1986. In the late 80s, during the Barlow and Chambers execution, Prime Minister Bob Hawke called the hangings barbaric when the men were eventually executed. While at the Australian Labor Party conference in Hobart, Tasmania, Bob Hawke offered his deepest apologies and sympathies to both families. Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher also called for repentance, with Kevin Barlow a dual British national, having been born in Stoke-on-Trent. In a desperate plea to save his client's life, Singh wrote to the King of Malaysia, Azlan Shah of Perak, requesting a reprieve, but did not receive a reply. McCauliffe was executed on the 19th of June 1993 after nearly 8 years in Malaysian jails, in what can be described as a parallel universe, having clearly lost it in the last few days, including sending letters to Singh asking him to bring back books on mind-body dualism, hoping to separate his mind from his body due to the amount of life he still had to live. The books were never delivered. While attempts were made to save McCauliffe's life, with Prime Minister Paul Keating writing to Malaysian Prime Minister Mahathir Mohamad twice asking for commutation of the death penalty, Foreign Minister Senator Gareth Evans noted in a letter, "Notwithstanding our objections to the death penalty, we do respect the Malaysian judicial system, just as Australia has a sovereign right to make and implement its own laws, so does Malaysia." This was a complete turnaround from Evans' emotive words and imploration to save the lives of Barlow and Chambers during their execution. However, the lack of media attention and ultimately the lack of investigations by Australian and Malaysian authorities meant that who sent McCauliffe, if there was a Thai dance hostess, if this was his first run, and where the drugs were meant to go, will ultimately never be known. In many ways, there are more questions than answers regarding Michael McCauliffe's ill-fated drug run and his ultimate execution, and sadly, with the passage of time, we will never know the answer to what is ultimately an Australian anomaly. Thank you for watching. Please do yourself a favour and hit that like and subscribe button and the bell icon to inform you when new videos come out. It helps more than you know and your support is truly appreciated. You'll also be seeing 2 other videos for you to check out. Until next time, stay awesome, stay classy, be kind to everyone you meet, and have an amazing day.